Welcome to Humble Ground, a podcast where the heart of agriculture meets the stories that feed the world. Behind every meal is a farmer, a rancher, and a legacy of hard work. Here, we shine a light on their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs, because every meal has a story, and it's time we heard it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Humble Ground. I'm pretty excited. I've actually got one in the town that I live in, surprisingly enough, and we're going to talk farming and tractors and thousands and thousands and thousands of tractor parts over the years. Before you go any farther, make sure to like us, subscribe to what we're doing. We're really trying to bring a lot of really interesting stories from the farm, and this one's really going to be about somebody that started in the farm setting, found out their love for turning wrenches, and has built an incredible business helping farmers and ranchers over the last 50 years now. And so without further ado, Elmer, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know you got a million other things going on.
We got a lot going on here.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and kind of, what kind of farming operation that was.
It was a small operation. My dad started out with only a half section and small old tractors, and they were Case, and that's where I stayed, and went on from there to one thing and the next, and Uncle Sam grabbed me for 2 years. Then, come back and work for the dealership in town here for 3 years, and then went on my own in 74.
Yeah. Did you grow up on a livestock operation, row crop operation? What kind of farming did you guys do?
It was a little of everything.
Yep. Back then,
like
probably
farming
was.
used to be.
Yeah.
Hogs, milk cows, chickens, and farming.
No, that's awesome. I love how you mentioned Case tractors. I would assume over the years, Case is probably one of the front runners of tractors that you've worked on. Was the dealership a Case dealership back then?
Yes, there was a dealership just a block from here, and I worked there 3 years, and shortly after that, he sold out, and the dealership moved out of town, so that made us a lot busier with Case tractors.
Yeah. Is that something that back then did many folks go to school to learn a trade, or was that something that you just kind of learned how to be a mechanic?
They just started that Votech school in Beloit.
Okay.
I attended it for 1 year. That's all it was a 1 year class.
Yep.
And then I went to work, for a Massey Ferguson dealership for a year, and then Uncle Sam, and then Case. And it's been Case ever since then.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just actually were last year on a project in Beloit and we got to film some stuff where they were tearing apart tractors. So that program's still alive and well. Yeah. And I think it's a 2-year program now, maybe.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. When you first went out on your own, was that just primarily fixing Case tractors, or did you kind of do all different brands?
Well, to start with, it was some car and truck repair and tractors. And then, like I said, when the dealership left town, that left a lot of his longtime Case customers out in the open to where they had to go farther for the dealership service. So we kind of hung up the cars and trucks and went all tractors. And then it was probably 5 or 6 years, and we got a couple tractors in that the guys didn't want to fix, so I bought them, started selling parts, and it kept going on from 5 or 6 tractors that first year to, we don't have it documented, but there's probably 1,800 tractors we've tore down and put on the shelf.
It's crazy. I think you bought one of my father-in-law's ones here in the last few years. And so is that something that you just, like, people would come in and want parts or just rebuilt stuff, and then you just saw the opportunity, I guess, or what was the reasoning to do that back then?
Well, a lot of the parts even back then were expensive, and the budget for farming was pretty close on everybody. So if they could buy a good used part for half price, it took off pretty good.
That makes a lot of sense, and I would assume that still holds true today, especially like a year like this year.
Yes, definitely. Some of the some of the new parts for these old tractors have gotten ridiculous on price.
How long was it before you had to say, man, I need more help. Like, I can't do this on my own. Do you remember when you got your first employee?
Oh, let me see.
Or did you throw the kids, I guess, into turning wrenches?
No, my brother worked for me for a little while there. And then Galen, that'd be my wife's brother, he was working at Goodyear, and they went on strike, and he started working for me, and he stayed ever since then. So he's been here 40 years or better.
That's the one thing that I love about coming in here. You guys put up with me more than you probably should. But in a small town, there's not a whole lot of places to send packages out, and you all send out thousands and thousands of them. So I'll come in and buy things here or there, ship things out, and it's crazy to see that the people that you have here, like, you don't just have them, it seems like, for a year or two. Like, everybody that works here has been here for a long time, and also incredibly knowledgeable about tractors, and it just blows my mind. So is that something that you just learned along the way? Obviously you went to school a little bit, but did you just find a passion for knowing what part goes on what tractor and what year? Like, everybody here, the amount of knowledge that you guys all have just blows me away.
Oh, it just kind of grew on us, I guess. Never really studied at it, but it just was easy to learn, because if I had the parts there, I wanted to sell them. So we took a lot of interest in getting it to move. And to start with, my wife worked with me to start with, doing some books. And then Brian, when he got out of school, he went to machine shop school, and I needed help bad enough. He started into here and has been there since then, and he's 52 or 3 now. And the other son, Dale, he did telecommunications for not a long time, but then decided to come back and join the business. No, in fact, he ran a floor covering business and give that up and come back and work for me. And we had several other employees that lasted for 2 to 5 years, maybe more than that. And that's about what it amounted to. And our last employee at the counter would have been Adam Dieters. He's one of the main men around here for selling parts. And then the wife decided it was time for her to retire. So my daughter quit teaching school and come to work and took her place. So we got her selling parts instead of doing special education with kids.
Wow. It's a true family business. Over the years, what's been amazing to me is that you do, like a lot of people, we were just talking about this the other day, a lot of people do business in the area that they're at, right? And you all do, I'm sure, plenty of business around here, but you all ship all over. I mean, have you shipped to every state or pretty close?
Pretty close to. It's amazing how much farming takes place back in New York and Pennsylvania. We sell a lot of parts back that way. And it reaches down into Carolinas and just a little in Florida. And Tennessee and Kentucky's getting thicker all along. And otherwise the rest of the states. For the longest time, we never did sell hardly anything in Indiana and Illinois, and they're 2 of our best states now. So really, evidently, exposure got us in the game with them.
Yeah. When did you decide to start selling online, and what do you remember why? Were you just getting enough calls from people and then thought, hey, if we put this out on the web?
It was a venture. That wasn't my idea. That was the boys' idea, more so because they're a lot more modern with doing this stuff than I do. Yeah. To be honest about it, I don't know how to run a computer.
So, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
But there's still plenty around here for me to do.
Yeah. It's so cool. I think your website mentions like over 100,000 parts, which is just insane to me.
It's crazy what it takes to go.
So you can take care of just about any old tractor for the last how many decades? If you had to put
we go back to about 1955. that's as old as we go on tractors. And it isn't only used parts that we sell. We sell the new aftermarket parts,
Yep.
which is much more available now than 50 years ago.
Sure.
50 years ago, auto parts was real common to get at a parts store and not a dealership. Now it's that way on the older tractors of all name brands. There's aftermarket new parts available.
It's so cool. We were talking when I came in to ask you about this, and like I said, appreciate you even giving me a chance. When I came in to ask you, I was talking to your kids, and I said, "Do you know how many orders have came through this?" And you said, I think your daughter had said, we started keeping track in mid '90s, actually on a computerized system, and she said we're on order like 513,000, and that doesn't include the first couple of decades, realistically, of the business.
Right.
The amount of farmers and ranchers that you have helped in the last 50 years just has to be astonishing. How cool is it to know that you're able to, again, when money gets tight and you can't afford to go get a new piece of equipment, that you're able to keep people farming and ranching, whether that be another year, whether it be another decade. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
It's a good deal. We enjoy pleasing the customer. It takes a lot of patience sometimes, and
Sure.
a lot of return phone calls to make sure we're always working with serial number changes on these tractors, and we like to make it right the first time.
Oh, and that's customer service goes a long way, and I would guess you wouldn't be in business without good customer service. What, in your opinion, is the best tractor that's ever been made? From a guy that's been around tractors as long as you and has worked on as many as you, is there a tractor or two or three that stand out in your mind that this was the tractor? Somebody commented the other day on something that a 4020 John Deere was the pinnacle, tractor that they loved, right?
It was. When they come out with those John Deeres, they had better steering and brakes than any other name brand out there, and that single range shifter was far superior to anything else. But it wasn't long, and all the other name brands come up with their better way of doing things. But yes, I don't know where to or what to say in the case line of tractor, which one would be the best. I just can't really say.
It's so neat to even think about, the folks like we had cattle, and we had an old Ford tractor, that got the job done, right? Wasn't anything fancy, but it worked. And if there was parts, it was nice to know that you all had things that could take care of it as well as everybody else. So I think it's probably, you probably don't think about that a whole lot. It's just second nature to you all, but the amount of people that you've kept farming and ranching on the equipment that they have is astonishing. Tell me how'd you get into pulling tractors? Obviously we've got this beautiful piece here, and there's one parked behind it. Where'd that come from? And is that just a family venture, or what was the idea behind that?
We started with farm tractor pulling with the old ones, the 100 series and the 30 series, and then the 70 series, and we're still in that situation. And we started with maybe 75 horsepower, and it's taken its steps from one thing to the next. And for people that don't know, this machine sitting next to us here is 4,000 horsepower, and it's on spark ignition, alcohol powered, and it'll burn 5 gallons of methanol racing alcohol in 15 seconds.
Jeez.
So that gives us an idea what's taking place.
Yeah. When did you guys start pulling? 80s, 90s? Was it that long ago?
In the 80s, we were pulling with turbochargers on diesel tractors, and we couldn't keep up with the red ones, so we went alcohol and have been there ever since then.
And these, for anybody that's watching, so the Louisville Farm Show would have been in February, and you guys had pulled at Louisville
back in the 90s. We did.
Yep. So it's cool that these type of tractors are at Louisville, but you guys are all over. You just got back from Nashville, Illinois,
right?
I mean, travel all over the place, and
yeah, it's interesting, and it's the people that are out there from all over that far away from home that we get to know. And
Sure.
constantly somebody says, I saw you at a certain tractor pull, and I picked up one of your business cards. Now I'm calling for parts. That really makes you feel good.
Isn't that crazy, though, to think about? I run a marketing company, and we're always talking ideas and stuff. Well, to think about, something like this. Well, everybody there, not everybody, but a lot of people there, tractor pulls usually take place in some smaller communities, ag-based communities for the most part. And so a lot of people go and probably have an older tractor at home. Well, it's a great idea. It's a great way of marketing. You were telling a story about folks that had came over from a different country. What was it, Denmark or something the other day?
Holland.
Yeah. Tell me that story.
That was quite a few years ago, but one day we come back from dinner and there was about 8 or 10 people out in front of the business, and we pulled up and we were, what's going on here? And it turned out one fellow we had talked to in the past, he's from Holland, and his name was John Case, of all things. And he brought that group over for a month long to spend in the United States vacationing. And one of the places they had in mind to stop and see was the home of the Little Temptation pulling tractors that we had. And these guys come down there, and probably 4 or 5 of them, they were honest people from Holland because they were wearing the wooden shoes. And that really, really made us think twice. And it was a lot of fun that day.
It's crazy to think about how like pulling tractors or anything can tie people together you would never would have expected. And for people watching, we both live in Centralia, Kansas, which I'm going to guess is 500 or 600 people, maybe.
Yeah,
is it that many?
A little less than 500.
Yeah, a little less than 500 people. So to have somebody come from all the way overseas and stop in Centralia, Kansas, is a pretty crazy thing. But I love it though. Like I think you and I were talking that there's probably a lot of people that have never heard of Elmer's Repair, even probably in Nemaha County, which is the county that we live in. Have never heard about it, but yet you send it parts and have sent parts all over the country. Hundreds of thousands of orders over 50 years. Like an incredible business.
We do send parts to the Netherlands too.
Really?
And Canada quite often, and that's about it for outside countries. And one thing we did skip in the past, that we do international tractors in addition to case tractors. Probably
Gotcha.
a third of what we've got here is international.
Yeah.
So
When
just
did-
want to hit that point.
Yeah. When did international get acquired or I guess go away to where they were just making case tractors? What?
Yeah, that merger took place in, what was that, 86 or 7?
Yep. And you can still take care of all those old machines then.
The
back
old
then.
internationals, yes, we've got a lot of them, but not to the extent of the case tractors.
Sure. What do you think's been the most popular machine that you've sent parts out for? Is there any numbers in mind over the last 50 years of like, hey, this model case or this model whatever seems to be still really popular and people still must be using them a lot these days?
Well, when you get back to the older ones, there's restoration of the tractors. That has turned into a very big hobby for everybody.
Sure.
And we were talking about it the other day, and I says to the guys, I don't know why, but a 930 case is probably one of the most popular tractors that we sell parts for. And those were built in 65 through 69. And I don't know why. The brakes weren't good on them. The steering wasn't good, but yet everybody is restoring them or using them yet today.
Isn't it crazy to think about? You probably deal with customers that are still working on a 30, 40, 50-year-old tractor.
Oh, yes.
I mean, how impressive is that? Because nowadays, I feel like if I buy something and it's still working a year from now, it's amazing. So to think about tractors that are still 3, 4, 5 decades old and still being used every day on the farm, like you just don't make them like they used to, I guess is what they would say. Is that a fair statement?
Well, it could be. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about it the other day, and I brought the point up to some farmers. I says, he was talking about his 40 and 50-year-old tractors that he still farms with. And I says, do you realize that when that tractor was new, what a 40 or 50-year-old tractor was, that was right after they used horses. And he says, God, I didn't look at it that way because, and it's the truth. A 40 or 50-year-old tractor is used really commonly in all name brands yet today. But back then, nobody would have had that kind of a tractor on the place anymore.
Right. What do you think the next 5, 10, 20 years looks like for Elmer's Repair?
It's going to get a lot tougher because so much of the newer tractors have so much electronic stuff on them, and it is going to be hard to stay in touch with it and figure out a way to market those kind of parts, because electrical stuff, it's a dead tractor. When we tear it down, how are we going to know if those components are good or not? Well, we really won't have a good way of testing them unless things change from what it is now.
Sure. Yeah. No, I didn't think about that. Is that something that you guys do, anything like tech related?
There's a couple service places we can send tachometers and digital dashes and that kind of stuff that they do repair that stuff. And that is, in my opinion, would be a very good outlet for somebody to start a business doing this.
Sure. You'd think it'd be
because
busy.
It's just going to get more and more of it all along.
Sure. Nope, that makes a lot of sense. Couple more questions, and I know you got a million things going on, so I can't thank you enough for taking the time. What's it been like to look back 50 years from now? Did you think ever as a young guy, not that you're old by any means, but a younger guy, did you ever think that this would have got to where it is and you've shipped thousands and thousands of parts all over the place into multiple countries?
No, I had no idea it would have grown to where it is today, because it was a one-man shop that we started out with. And we used to tear down tractors, not for the tractor pulling, but for business right here where we're sitting. I started out in a 28 by 40 building, one-man shop, out my back door from the house.
It's crazy how it's grown, and it's, like I said, been incredible to see. What's it like being able to work with family and know that the next generation's kind of taken over, and then the next generation from them? Is there any interest in the business as of yet? They're all still pretty young, but
yeah, we'll just have to wait on them boys to see what they might be interested in. But it is a very good feeling that 3 of our kids are following up in the business. I mean, I couldn't feel better about it.
No, that's awesome. And every weekend you travel with this. Does one of them go with you?
Yeah, we switch off. Brian and his family goes one weekend, and the next weekend Dale and his family, Shelley, fills in here and there. The last 2 years, my wife has gone to darn near every one of them, and we're still hanging in there because we made a lot of friends, a lot of people we see when we get there. But now Rodney, he works for the railroad. That's our third son.
Yep.
And he just goes along when he can get away.
Sure. Nope, he's got a neat job. I love talking to him every chance I get. And what do you think has made the business, like 50 years in business isn't a common thing. That's a lot of businesses never get to 50 years in business, and you got 50 years in September, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think has got it there?
Well, I would say taking the farm customer and treating him right and keeping him returning into our business. That is the biggest thing. You got to work with the customer to keep him as a customer. And when he is pleased, he tells somebody else, so on and so forth, and it grows. That's what happens. Every day we got somebody that'll call from a distance, and they said, "Do you remember so-and-so? He told me to call you." Well, sometimes I remember him and sometimes I don't. But word of mouth goes a long ways on keeping things alive.
That's incredible. Was there anything else you want to mention on that you didn't mention on. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for taking the time.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, perfect. Everybody listening, make sure to check out Elmer's Repair. I'll put links to website and Facebook and all that stuff. Check out their pull-in tractors. They're incredible. If you've never seen one of these operate, take the time because it is rather impressive. Your kids will love it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share our content, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks for watching.